Folks, I want to welcome you all to the Commissioners meeting, monthly meeting for April 21st, 2026, here at 5:30. I would ask Catherine for the attendance call, please.
Chair Smith,
Here.
Tom Tyler, absent. Commissioner Jean Marie Caterina,
I'm here.
Commissioner Stephen Gordon,
Here.
Commissioner James Cloutier.
Present.
Excellent. So we have a quorum this evening, and we'll proceed. Next, I'd ask you, if you'd invite you to join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Excellent, thank you very much. Just have a quick update. So the approval of last month's meeting minutes is still kind of being worked on for veracity and accuracy. So I'm asking for a motion to postpone the minutes for CD 26-010 and also CD 26-0111, if you might please.
So moved.
Thank you. I have a motion by for Commissioner Caterina, and Commissioner Cloutier is the second. Any discussion? All those say aye.
Aye.
That's a postponement of those two meeting minutes, and we'll see those next month, ready to go. Thank you for that. Next this evening, we do have some informational reports and presentations. The first one, and I'll ask the county manager, CD 26-012. Was that for our review, or is someone speaking this evening?
I believe there is someone who's speaking from the Board of Visitors for the jail.
Great.
Maybe if we queue it up with the sheriff. Sheriff, would you like to open up?
Sure.
The comments?
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Per Title 30A, we are required to have a jail board of visitors. In fact, before it was required, we had one when it was just optional. So we've been in the business for about 14 years now, and pleased to say that currently Colleen Hilton is the person that's been on the longest and probably has exceptional attendance. She's not here tonight, but she is the chair. We also have member Garrett Stewart, Bill Baker, who's a former police officer, Amanda Place, Karen White, Haley Veruso, who you'll hear in another capacity later tonight. But tonight we have the acting chair, Kylie Wilkins O'Brien, who's going to brief you on their report. As a requirement for the statute, I was also required, once I got the report completed, to file a response to their recommendations with the legislature. So that was concluded back in March. So without further ado, Kylie.
Hello, Commissioners. Thank you for the time. As Sheriff Joyce mentioned, I am a member of the Jail Board of Visitors. I'm the mental health focused member on the board. And I know you all received a copy of the report, but I will briefly go over some of the observations, most notably that the facility passed its 2025 ACA reaccreditation with a score of 99%. It also has NCCHC compliance and PREA certification. So the board views the external accreditation as important and views our work as complementary. Another thing that is really notable, and I just wanted to take a moment to share here, is the new medical wing came online in 2025. This was funded through America Rescue Plan dollars that this body directed towards that public health and public safety. And this decision made by the commissioners is paying real dividends inside the facility. I used to serve in Maine pretrial services and have been in and out of the jail many times, and the new facility really took my breath away. It is a huge upgrade, and I'm super grateful that you all made that decision. I could go into details about that because it was really exciting, but I won't. So Just to highlight some of our recommendations, this was in 5 key areas. The first is continued investment in behavioral health services. According to testimony from Sheriff Joyce to the Maine legislature, 75% of people held at the Cumberland County Jail have co-occurring mental illness and substance use conditions. This exemplifies that the jail has absorbed a public health role that it was never built to perform, and we ask that the commissioners help maintain and expand clinical staffing, medical assisted treatment capacity, and psychiatric access within the facility, support renovation of the previous medical wing to help create space for individuals in deepest mental distress so they can stabilize safely and not be put in the solitary housing unit. We'd like to see strengthened reentry coordination. There is great reentry work happening already, but reentry coordination is one of the most cost-effective recidivism interventions we have. It directly benefits public safety and community budgets. And sustaining and deepening partnerships with community providers, especially for those with housing instability, which is one of the greatest issues facing people who are leaving the jail. And again, people with substance use and mental health needs. We also are recommending workforce and training and retention. One of the things that was noted is a need for additional emergency preparedness, ensuring that everybody has their certifications for CPR, investing in training, mentorship, and professional development for new officers. Something that came up was that some of the officers could benefit from some English language learning classes in order to help them communicate better with their peers. So prioritizing communication, de-escalation, and cultural awareness training. And then finally, technology and infrastructure. We hope that you will evaluate and where warranted fund upgrades to the surveillance systems and related technology in this aging facility. Better monitoring improves safety and strengthens the quality of internal reviews when incidents occur. And investment is needed to address age-related wear and tear, especially in the housing units, in the showers. We can see that things are falling into disrepair. So in 2025, we found professionalism, good cooperation, and areas where oversight and corrective action worked exactly as intended. We're seeking additional investment in behavioral health and substance use related needs as the jail is serving this population. And just a reminder that nearly everyone currently inside the facility will return to our communities, and what Cumberland County invests in now determines the condition in which they come home. Thank you, and I'm sure the full board will follow up in writing if there are any questions that I cannot answer. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate the summary. Is there anyone, commissioners, who have questions? No? I just have one question. I read through the report. You meet 3 to 4 times a year, is that correct?
Yes.
And do you meet at the same location? Are those recorded or meeting notes from those meetings, or?
We meet at the jail, and then we have minutes taken, and those I'm sure are available. We also meet at the jail so that we can tour the facility and meet with the inmates, and we're given access to folks to ask them how they're feeling about the conditions in which they're staying.
Has it always been 4 times a year, or is that just a standard that people follow, or more so?
Since I joined, it's been 4 times a year, but that's all I can speak to.
And you've joined through, is it an appointment?
Yes, we're appointed by the sheriff, and the terms are 3 years, so I'm like a year and a half in.
Right, halfway there,
Yeah.
okay. Okay, well, thank you for your service as a person on the board. So thank you for this information. Steve, do you have a question?
Through you, can I ask a question of the sheriff?
Sure. Seth, thank you so much.
Sheriff, I have a question, or maybe just a comment. Does any of this report that she has, is that affected by the amount of pretrial people we have on in the jail? And can you give me some sort of a percentage of that number?
About a third is pretrial. I mean, a third sentenced, 2/3 pretrial.
Yeah.
Yeah. So about 2/3 pretrial. To answer the other question, we didn't always meet 4 times a year. That's required now by statute.
Okay.
It was, when we first started, it was probably 3 times a year. But now it's pretty strict.
Okay.
There's good things about that, and I mean, people are busy, so God bless the folks that do help us out, because volunteerism is really a difficult time to try to herd cats. The last thing is, the notes are on our website.
Okay, great,
They're
I'll
taken.
look for those there on the website. And then Sheriff, while you're there, can I ask you a quick question?
Sure.
I lost my train of thought. The response that you gave to the legislature, in response to this, did we get a copy of that as commissioners, or did that just go to the legislature? We
We
don't.
went to the legislature.
All right, would we be able to get a copy of that at
Yeah,
some
sure,
point?
sure.
Just so we know kind of, I'm sure we try to work with all of our partners up and down.
Yeah.
So it'd be good to know what you responded to, so we're in the same,
Yeah.
on the same page. So that was in March, you said?
Yeah, March 27th. The statute requires that it be filed by the 15th, but you can only file when the report comes out. And like I said, you have a group of volunteers that
Yeah.
are trying to give their time.
Yeah.
So we try to meet the February 15th deadline, but sometimes
Okay.
that doesn't work out.
All right, but you have that, so you can just email that to us at whenever you get a
Yeah,
chance.
actually, somebody can make a photocopy. I got it with me.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, email or photocopy, that's fine, just so that we can do that. And going forward, we can get the same.
Sure.
Great, awesome, thank you so much. Any other questions? Great, thank you for that information. The next we have is CD 26-013, that's the Regional Communications First Quarter Newsletter. I believe that is informational only. I hope everyone has reviewed that. There's great stuff in there, so thank you to the communications folks. The third item on the informational reports is the budget fiscal year 26 through March 2026. We're reading through that. Do we have comments there? We have our finance director here. Any comments?
Yes, I have a few comments. So we're 3/4 of the way through the year. So the few things that stick out a little bit, although we're over on a few categories, overall we're at 71% on all of the categories. So that's really the important thing that I look at. IT is one of the departments that is typically over, and that's the same on this. A lot of the subscriptions are paid up front, so that doesn't surprise me that they're over on their overall budget when I'm looking down through. The garage is significantly over on theirs. There was an accident a few years ago in the garage, and we're still doing repairs on those. We did just receive a $75,000 reimbursement from the risk pool. They indicated that's about half, and we should be getting another check at the end of the month. So that will help with the garage. Some facilities is over. All of the insurance bills just came due for the year, so now 100% of all of the vehicle insurance risk pool, all of those percentages, which facilities carries a higher percentage in their department, those have been paid. So obviously when they're paid 100% through the year and we're only at 75%, that's gonna have their department budget over on their jail is over on the salaries. We had the contract ratification later, so we had retro jail wages on there. Workers' comp is something that's continuing to affect all of the departments, and where jail is larger and they, the workers' comp breaks out the jail pool specifically. On the rest of the bill, we're trying to more or less allocate it ourselves within the department on how it breaks out, but the jail is specific with state statute, so that gets there. The hospital detail has been something we've been struggling with, and the food costs, so we're working, we're keeping an eye on those. Revenues are trending well. We're a little bit over on deeds and probate, so again, within some of their categories, they're down a little bit within their copies. A few of their categories are down, but overall, revenue is either at expected or a little above, with the exception of the garage parking because of the repairs that are going on there. But with the overall categories being a little less on expenses and a little bit higher on the revenues, I don't see any immediate concern at this point.
Great. Yes, Commissioner Gordon?
Teresa, we talked about the insurances are due. Is that through the risk pool?
The insurance is through the risk pool, but we also have the unemployment insurance, which is affecting it, and then workers' comp insurance. So depending which insurance you're specifically talking about,
Well, I
yes.
guess when I'm talking about the insurance is through the risk pool.
Yes.
What's the risk pool's year? I mean, so is it February to February, or is it
They are actually a calendar year.
the calendar year? Okay. Would it help if they were fiscal year?
I actually talked to Malcolm about this, and they will not do that because where they buy the insurance from, that it can't be changed. So I actually do prorate it for us to be appropriate for what fiscal year we're on. So even though the bill comes in a calendar year, I portion it out for our fiscal year.
Well, okay.
Sounds like a workaround.
Yes.
No, what's happened is that most of the counties, Jim probably knows the number exactly, are moving to the fiscal year.
Sure.
So it might be good to start to push for this pool to.
I did. I called and made those contacts
pushing.
I know,
today,
but
so, yes.
now he's got a board member that's gonna.
Okay.
Okay, good files. Anyone else, commissioners, any questions? I just have one question around the garage. You mentioned, we're still working through that. Is it assumed that the repairs, they're complete, is that right?
I do not believe they're complete. I talked to Bill Trufant a couple of weeks ago, and I don't believe they're complete at this point, I don't believe they are.
Okay. Just wondering, for summertime, we maximize our revenue come summer, and we're nice to visit the city of Portland, so just hoping that, we can take advantage
Well,
of
one of
that.
the big items on the reduction of the revenue was not the repairs to the garage. It was, we needed to close down the surface lot next to the
Okay.
courthouse because we had an air handling job going in
Oh, right.
for the state court side. And so we lost probably 30-plus parking spaces from that side lot that all had to go into the garage, which then reduced our capacity for hourly parking and monthly parking.
Okay. That's done now, or?
It is done.
Yay, okay, good, okay. Well, hopefully we recoup some of that as we get into the, hopefully warmer summer weather. Thank you for the report, appreciate it. Anyone else have the last question there for Finance Director? Thank you. Thank you for the work you do. The next we have comments from the public as the next part of our agenda. I want to remind folks that you have 3 minutes to speak, and the public comment period is no longer than 1 hour total. And just as a reminder, if people are here to speak to something that is on the agenda, that's here tonight, that if they speak now, they will not be able to speak for that item that's on the agenda. You don't get 2 opportunities, so you wait for your agenda item and speak to that item. If it's something off the agenda, that's when we want to hear from you during the public comment session. I know it sounds a little confusing, but if you've got something you want to talk about, wait for that agenda item to happen. Does anyone have any questions on that? Hopefully it clears mine. Great. Okay, and with that, and the ground rules that we just went over, is there anyone from the public who would like to speak?
Yes.
Yes, please, come up to the podium.
Yes, I wanted to speak on the, now I just want to make sure I'm following your rules correctly, but on the ICE contract between.
So 2 things. One, when people come up, I didn't mention this, I'm so sorry. You give your name and where you live so that we have it for the public record. So you just say your name, where you live. And then if it is about ICE or the contract around ICE or U.S. Marshals, if you want to speak to that, you have to wait for that agenda item, which unfortunately is the last agenda item here.
Oh, okay.
Or, correct me if I'm right, you can speak now, but you will not be able to speak when
Understand.
that agenda item is, and we'll remember you. No, I'm teasing.
Okay.
I'm teasing.
No, that's fine. My name's Jennifer Jortberg. I'm from Scarborough, Maine. And I do want to speak now, if that's possible, and I know that I forfeit my ability to speak later.
Okay,
Is that all right?
I think so, yeah.
All right.
As long as it's not on ice or the marshals.
Is that what it's about?
It's on the ICE contract.
Yeah.
With Cumberland County, Jim.
Yeah, so the way our rules are is that you have to wait for that agenda item to come to the floor to then speak to that particular item. The public comment is for items off the agenda.
Oh, understood,
Or
okay.
not on the agenda.
I did misunderstand, sorry about that.
And
No,
I probably said it backwards a couple
that's all
times,
right,
but
I'll see you later. I'll see
Okay.
you at.
thank you very much.
Fine, thank you.
Yeah. Anyone else who'd like to speak to any items that are not on the current agenda this evening? Okay, and seeing none, we're going to proceed with our meeting, and we'll go from here. So right now, we then move to our consent agenda. The consent agenda has several items on the consent agenda. I'll be reading each one so that we publicly know what we're looking for the consent agenda. But before I do, is anyone here, Commissioner, want to remove or move anything around? Are you okay with what you see? Okay, everybody's cool. Okay, so the consent agenda, I'm going to read these so that we all know. It's 27-033. That's to authorize the county manager to enter into a one-year extension with Oakview Group for the venue management of the Cross Insurance Arena. Second, we have item 26-034. That's the authorization of the law enforcement services contract between Cumberland County Sheriff's Office, the Board of County Commissioners, and the Town of Harpswell for April 1st through March 31st, 2027. The next is item 26035. That's the authorization of the Marine Patrol Law Enforcement Services contract between Cumberland County Sheriff's Office, the Board of Commissioners, and the Town of Harpswell for April 1st through the 31st of 2027. Next, we have item 26-036. Authorize the county manager to execute the attached dispatch contract between Fry Island and Cumberland County. 26-037, proclaiming May 3rd through the 9th, 2026 as National Correctional Officer Week. And item 26038, we have proclamation of May 3rd and 9th again, 2026, as the National Public Service Recognition Week. Lastly, we have, or not almost lastly, 26-039, we have the proclamation, which is May 10th through the 16th of 2026, as National Law Enforcement Week. Next, we have item 26-040, authorize the county manager to submit a grant application for the Bureau of Justice Assistance, the BGA, in response to the fiscal year 2025 Comprehensive Opioid Stimulant and Substance Abuse Program, known as COSUP, Notice of Funding Opportunity, NOFO, with a total request of $1,300,000 over a 36-month period. That's June 1st, 2026 through May 31st, 2029. And we have item 26-041. Adopt the proposed policies to meet the state statute and the Maine Criminal Justice Academy Board of Trustees requirements for the operation of a law enforcement agency by the District Attorney's Office.
Move passage of the consent agenda as read.
Second.
Thank you. That's a motion to pass by Commissioner Cloutier, a second by Commissioner Gordon. Is there any comments before we vote? All those in favor?
Aye.
Show that unanimous 4-0 with Tyler absent. Next, we move into the new business part of our agenda. Here we have item 26-023, approval of the Community Development 2026 Annual Action Plan, including the allocation of CDBG and home partnership funds and contingency plans. 2 public hearings are required. This is the final hearing today on April 21st, 2026. May I have a motion to bring it to the floor?
So moved.
I have a motion by Commissioner Caterina and a second by Commissioner Cloutier. Mr. County Manager, please.
Thank you. This is a second reading and final action for the annual action plan for the 2026 CDBG and home funding. I'd like to pass it off to Courtney, off to my right here, to touch base with the commissioners and to talk a little bit more about the process and the requests that we would be making to the Department of Housing and Urban Development.
Thank you.
So, hi, Courtney. So when I was here in March, we based our recommendations off of estimates on previous year. I was fairly conservative with that estimate, which is a good thing because we were able to fund exactly what we had hoped now that we have our final dollar amount, which is $1,471,982. We were able to add a little bit more to one of the construction projects in Gorham. And how we got upon these recommendations, these applications were accepted in January, and we started a review process of the application review team, which was volunteers from the Municipal Oversight Committee. The towns that were involved on the application review team were Freeport, Naples, Yarmouth, Bridgeton, Westbrook, New Gloucester, Harpswell, and Standish. And they take the time throughout several meetings to score the applications. We invite the applicants to come and speak at open mic to answer any questions. And then we have the final recommendations that go to the Municipal Oversight Committee. The Municipal Oversight Committee will then review those recommendations based on the scoring. And then they voted to approve the recommendations that we brought here in March, and then again here today. So the numbers that are on this updated annual action plan will be the true numbers that are submitted to HUD by May 15th.
May 15th, did you say?
May 15th is the deadline to submit to HUD.
Great. Yeah. Awesome, great, thank you very much. We'll see if we have questions, but we'll wait to see. Is there anyone from the public who would like to speak to this matter? Come to the podium.
I have some documents to share with you. Should I share them with you?
Here, we can pass those around.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. My name is Victoria Morales. I'm the Executive Director of Project Home. We are formerly Quality Housing Coalition. And I wanted to come today to speak to you a little bit about our application and what we do at Project Home. We were scored, as you'll see in the materials, in top 3, but we did not get recommended for funding. And I just wanted to come last year as well. We scored first after the review, but we didn't also get recommended for funding. So I just want to share a little bit about what we do. I've provided you with some materials about our work. The particular proposal that you have in front of you is a student homelessness prevention proposal. This is a project that we started as a pilot in Portland with funding from Maine Housing. And the funding is going to be decreased this year. We anticipated that that was going to be the case. As well, Maine Housing has ended funding for housing navigation completely. This pilot was extremely successful in Portland. Now, other communities have also piloted it in York County, in Lewiston, and in the Mid-Coast, also extremely successful. And the reason why it works so well with schools is because, as you all know, teachers, school staff, they know what's happening with students almost before anyone else does. And so having McKinney-Vento liaisons, who are the staff who are specifically supposed to work with children who are experiencing homelessness, there is that direct link. And so that's what this pilot was about, working directly with schools and their McKinney-Vento liaisons. As soon as they found out about students and their families who are experiencing housing insecurity, which means they might be evicted, they don't have enough money to pay their rent, or they're doubled up, they don't have an address, an actual official address, they would connect them with our housing navigation team. And then within 1 to 2 months, I'll say that again, within 30 to 60 days, because we have developed over the last 8 years a partnership with over 1,100 landlords in the state, and about 70% of those are in Cumberland County, we are able to navigate those families directly to existing units. And the reason why this program works really well is it's been built up over the course of the past 8 years. And many of you probably are aware, it was 2021 perhaps, where we were funded with $30,000 to begin this guarantee fund. And because of that funding that this county provided us, we then were able to make the case to Senator King's office, who then advocated for us to have a congressional direct spending grant to increase that amount, and it enabled us to expand. And the idea behind all of this housing navigation work really is, we all know that we have a housing supply crisis. We all know that we need 84,000 units of housing in our state, which seems like an astronomical number when you think about how much we actually do build every year, which is not even 1,000 units. So knowing that's going to take so long, what we decided 8.5 years ago, 9 years ago, was that we have to go to the existing resources that we have in the state. Since 85% of our rental housing stock today is owned by the private sector, that is where we went to first. And by working with them to remove the barriers to access, for working people. The folks that we serve are working people. They're not chronically homeless. They're families who, at any given moment, just don't have enough cash. For at the end of the year, they're usually about a couple months behind. So I wanted to come and just share a little bit about the work we do. You have that in your materials. I didn't read my entire statement, but it's there for you. I'm here to take any questions if you would like. And I thank you all for your service.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. And thank you for your service. Does anyone have any questions? Okay. Courtney, was it correct that we funded this in 2021? Was that correct, or was that a different year?
We funded it most recently in 2024.
Okay, great, so
We
20.
did not fund it last year. And then South Portland, I believe, funded it in 2022.
Okay, great, excellent. Thank you for that information. Any other questions from, yes, Commissioner Gordon?
You spoke of a municipal oversight committee.
Yeah.
Who are those people and how do they?
So the Municipal Oversight Committee is made up of one member from each of the communities within Cumberland County. Typically, it's town managers or economic or community development directors. There are times that it's public works or rec directors that are the representatives. Those are the ones that's kind of in their world already anyway, that they're dealing with this type of stuff. And so I would say it's 90% is town managers or community development directors.
But it's always somebody that works in the municipality?
Yes, it is. And it will change for year to year depending on what's going on if they appoint somebody different, but it is always a municipal employee.
And I guess just one follow-up question from it. It's a great question. So, we're working with these towns, so apparently they will know the needs that they have as a town and what's particular for their needs. And the scoring has not changed in terms of the criteria. It seems like it's a pretty thorough process, last I knew, in terms of how it's scored. And if you ever have a tie, what happens?
If there is a tie, so for example, this one was a 0.25 difference between the one that was scored, awarded below. We kind of go over like the need, the impact, the areas that it's going to touch on, and other funding sources available. It kind of depends on the project in the year and what is being asked in that pool of funds. So I think it kind of is a variable each year.
Great, okay. Any other comments? I just want to say thank you for the work you do. I know it's a lot of work and there's a far reach for all the projects. There's always more need than there is money. That's the end of the story we hear often. But I want to thank you for your time in helping those towns voice what their needs and working with a lot of allied groups. So thank you for what you do. Without any further comment, all of those in favor, show it as passage. That's 4-0 with Tyler absent. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next in new business, we have item 26-042. That is award a bid to UNA, I hope I'm saying that correctly, Solutions, Inc. for the county's budget software. Do I have a motion to put it on the table?
So moved.
I have a motion by Commissioner Katerina
Second.
and a second by Commissioner Gordon. Thank you. Mr. County Manager?
Thank you. We're bringing forward an awarded bid to UNA, budget, what's the formal name here? UNA Solutions, Inc. This has been a number of years in the making for us to get to the point of selecting a software platform to move our 60-page Excel spreadsheet that currently builds the county's budget, both general fund, cross insurance, and actually jail. It is a spreadsheet full of formulas and pivot tables, and you can imagine we hold our breath every single year that a formula doesn't get wiped out in one of the sheets and affects the entire budget. It really is not sustainable, especially in today's world, and we need to move to a budget platform that is more stable and secure, that won't break as often as our Excel spreadsheet does. We went out to bid earlier this year. We received 5 bids. Staff opted to interview and have a presentation of the software platforms from 4 of the 5 bidders. And then we all huddled and selected Una Solutions, Inc. As our preferred vendor to bring on board. Just so happens, I believe, as Una is also the low bid, we were able to get all three of our areas of need, whether it was general fund budgeting, capital budgeting, reports and development of the overall budget book, and the ACFA. Those were all necessary and were on our wish list, but we didn't know if we were gonna have enough money. And Una Solutions, their bid came in under budget, and we were able to get everything we wanted. We have in the FY '27 budget, $40,000 budgeted for this software. We have $60,000 budgeted through the strategic planning reserve account for implementation, development, and first year of this software. So that $60,000 will cover the $50,810 first year costs. And then the FY '27 budget of $40,000 will cover year two's cost of $36,660. So we are very excited to move in this platform. We're hoping to get moving fast on this. They've given us a 12 to 15 week implementation window, and that will line up perfectly about the middle to late August, just in time for us to jump off with the FY 2028 budget starting in September. So we ask for your review and approval of this item this evening. Thank you.
Very good. Is there anyone from the public who would like to speak to this matter? Seeing none, any questions from the commissioners? Yes, Commissioner Gordon.
Is this a subscription software?
This is a multi-year software package, yes. Once we have our data into it, we're into it. And
Right, I
so
understand that.
it's a 3-year, they've given us price for 3 years. And then it just incrementally goes up every year like every other software that we have.
Yes, we have it. We already had a motion, yeah, in a second. It's on the floor. Anyone have questions? Just have one quick question. Does this budget software also have scenario building in it? Is this tracking?
It has
or can you build-
unlimited scenario building in it. That was one of our
Very good.
criteria,
Okay.
so.
Great. I feel like any budgeting, I mean, it's nice to move off of a spreadsheet that if the formula's not locked down, we're in trouble anyway, but it's nice to know we can build some scenarios because we all know going forward, we're gonna have probably some challenges with our budget from year to year, so it's nice to be able to play out those scenarios and work some magic, so that's great news to hear, so I'm completely in favor of this upgrade in our budgeting. No other questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Show that unanimous, 4-0, Tyler absent. Next, we have item 26-043, authorize the Cumberland County EMA Director and the Board of Commissioners to enter into the 2026 Inter-County Maine Mutual Aid Agreement between Cumberland County EMA and other Maine counties. May I have a motion to put this on the floor? Thank you. A motion by Commissioner Caterina and a second by Commissioner Cloutier. Mr. County Manager.
Thank you. I'd like to invite Michael Durkin, the Director of County EMA, up to present this item.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. This is actually a kind of a re-sign of a mutual aid agreement the county's already a party to. It was party to originally in 2019. And this is the version that should see us from 2026 through December 31st, 2028. What it is essentially the mechanism for us at County EMA to either loan resources or receive resources from other county EMAs. By resources, I mean people, primarily, not necessarily deployable equipment or generators or blankets or not necessarily that sort of stuff, but actual lending of people. We have not seen a great use of these agreements historically. However, we're expecting to maybe start seeing them a little bit more as staffing at various county EMAs becomes a little more challenging. It's something we already do. So we've deployed resources to support Saginaw County a few months ago to help them with a planned event. During Hurricane Lee, we had offered to send resources. to Washington County when we realized the hurricane was not affecting us at all, but was affecting them. But ultimately, they didn't need those resources. So these are kind of conversations that are already happening, but this is just the agreement that kind of codifies that. It notes in the agreement specifically that the prime concern of any lending county, so you all sending our resources abroad, should be, shall have the primary interest of protecting its own constituency first. So we would obviously not be sending things if we needed things. And should we happen to send somebody and we then have a disaster, we have the ability in here to pull those people back as well. So I definitely recommend signing it. There's one minor change, if anybody happened to find the 2019 version, that version basically said that in order to enact this and actually send resources, we would have to notify and have that authorized by the county commissioners. That slows things down significantly in disasters. So this one has been amended per the suggestion of a few counties to say that I can be authorized to send staff for the first, what's called an operational period. That could be 6 hours, that could be 12, up to 14. And the thought between all the county EMAs was, well, we might not be able to get our commissioners to authorize something super quickly and kind of corral them all into one area, but if we have 6 to 12 hours, we think in that time we'll be able to get you to authorize any subsequent periods. Or should you not, we'll bring them back. Otherwise, happy to answer questions.
Excellent. Thank you very much for the information on that. Is there anyone from the public who would like to speak to this matter? Okay, seeing none. Commissioners who have questions or comments? Yeah.
This is, I think, pretty tangential to what we're dealing with tonight, but you told us a few months ago that the EMA system nationally was in some small disarray. According to the news I watched, that at least technically hasn't changed much. Can you fill us in on any operational problems you've been having?
We're not seeing any operational problems at the local or county level, thankfully. What we're still largely waiting to hear from FEMA's review council, which will propose a series of changes to FEMA. That's going to give us the direction of what the federal system will look like from now on. We've seen leaked reports of that, so we have rumors of what we think is in that, but nothing that's really terribly official yet. The changes that are coming will impact, they'll impact every service we have in some sense. As I had mentioned a few months ago, we're expecting to be tasked with new things, and that leaked draft report does exactly that. It points a lot of fingers at the state and says the state shall do this, the states will do this from now on. FEMA doesn't, the states do. So we're in talks with FEMA now, or with MEMA now, and they're starting to go through their motions of, okay, if we get tasked with these 10 extra things, what do we do versus what can the counties do versus how can we all work together essentially to kind of rethink how emergency management in Maine works. Yeah. FEMA is still not being funded per the congressional kind of budget shutdown. I think we're well over 40 days now. We might be into the 50-day mark. There has been money found somewhere to bring some FEMA people back in the office. So there are some FEMA people who were furloughed who are now in their office, but they're only allowed to work on internal matters. Nobody really knows exactly what that means, other than it means they don't answer your emails. So talking to us is not an internal matter. So we're trying to figure out what the new rules are and what they will give us, answer questions about and what they won't. We're seeing a few big movements though, where they've released notice of funding for what's called BRIC, which is a very large, $1 billion mitigation grant that FEMA administers. They were forced to do that by the courts, but they still did it. So they can do these things when they want to. It's just a matter of getting the funding in place.
I'm sure there'll be no hurricanes this year, so we're all set.
The outlook, thankfully, is a mild hurricane season this year.
Knock on wood.
Is there any other commissioner who would like to ask a question? Yes, Commissioner Gordon?
You talked about sharing of assets. What's the limit of the assets that you can that you have, or maybe more importantly, is this: do you interface with other departments in, for example, in the county? If during your needs to another county, their services might be called upon?
Not under this agreement. So this agreement is strictly county EMA to county EMA. Yep, so it wouldn't be, you know, me trying to commandeer sheriff's vehicles and send them over. That would operate through the normal sheriff to sheriff kind of mutual aid system. Yep, so this is.
But it could happen in that you'd say to the sheriff, hey, they're in need, you might want to.
If I got a request for police officers or something, that's who I would go to and say, hey, I just got this request from Hancock County, here's what they need, here's what they're looking for. Is that something to do? Yeah. Never been done quite that way, but it could be, yeah, I suppose.
I don't have a question, I just have a comment. Thank you for the work that you do under circumstances that are a little known or less known right now. So thank you for wading through that. And also, I appreciate you highlighting the piece around notice for the commissioners, that's been a change. And personally, I'll just say, you know, I think when it comes to a crisis or a disaster, you know, seconds matter, minutes matter, and I think it's a good choice to just move right into your hands as the director. You know, we trust you implicitly on what you do and how you do your work. And I think, you know, eventually the communication comes around. We never really have too many delays when we have disasters of any type. So I have complete confidence in the county manager and yourself as a director to take care of that crisis moment. And then I'm sure as commissioners, we fill in from there. But I think that's a good move to hopefully not put anyone else in jeopardy by waiting around for commissioners to get together. So thank you for pointing that out, and thank you for the job you do. Anyone else, can we vote on this? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that's a 4-0 vote. It passes with Tyler absent. Thank you. Next, we have item number 26-044, acceptance of an additional $2,025,669.99 in grant funds from the Howard Buffett Foundation for the Sheriff's Office Human Trafficking Initiative. May I please have a motion on the floor?
So moved.
Okay, I've got motions all around. I'm gonna pick Commissioner Gordon, and I'm gonna pick the loud second here, Commissioner Katerina, to put the motion on the floor. County Manager, if you would, please.
Yes, thank you. This item is coming before you as, in a sense, part two of a grant that you first accepted last month, and that was through the Howard Buffett Foundation, and it was at that time $500,000, and it was to pay for a analyst to work on human trafficking in Cumberland County in partnership with Preble Street. In the last 30 days since our last meeting, the Sheriff's Office has been working with the Howard Buffett Foundation to, in a sense, turn the $500,000 grant into a $2.6 million super grant and cover a lot more of, in a sense, a half salary of a CID member of the staff, as well as a lot of software and hardware and equipment associated with that. So to talk a little bit more eloquently about what all that is, I'd like to invite Captain Fredericks up to discuss where we were at with $500,000 and where we're going to be at $2.6 million. And congratulate him on scoring this money.
Good evening. I'm Captain Dean Fredericks. I supervise and oversee the Criminal Investigations Division at the Sheriff's Office. And been here for about a year, as you probably all remember when I was introduced. During that time, I've identified a lot of areas where we can make areas of growth that we can make improvements, and taking some of the experience that I've gotten throughout my career in other places with tools and equipment and relationships that have helped the mission of helping identify bad people and help people in need. And here, when I got here, I saw a need to improve our ability to address the growing problem in Maine with human trafficking. It's underlying throughout the state. It's something that people aren't even aware of. It kind of exists just below the surface, and it's all around us for a variety of reasons. People in crisis are trafficked for all kinds of reasons, whether it's work or money or sex trafficking. There's a number of things, agricultural, as well as we have a big community here of fish processing and things like that. And those industries are known to draw and attract people that have been trafficked to work in those industries. So in that effort to develop a curriculum for training for officers to get better at this, I was able to build a relationship with Preble Street, and particularly with Haley Varuso, the director of trafficking for Preble Street. So through that communication, we developed this opportunity funded by the Buffett Foundation to provide us with the funding, equipment, and positions that we need to address this serious issue and do it in a way that will bring us up to a level that we have not had previously, with the ability to electronically collect data, follow up on leads, and become a regional resource for the state, not just our county, but we also want to be able to help as these tentacles of trafficking, because it moves fluidly throughout the area depending on seasons and things like that. We want to be able to offer our resources to other agencies or other people to help people in crisis. So that's what it really comes down to. The increase in money, the initial ask from you folks was for the permission to enter into a contract for them to provide us with some people. And now they've been able to offer us the equipment to supply those people to do their jobs effectively, and then additionally pay for a detective's half salary, the full compensation, as an in-kind gesture. They've really committed to us, as we are committing to them, to take on this initiative and really make a difference and help people here. So it's an exciting time. It's not something I've had the experience of, working with a group that wants to keep on giving you things. It's fantastic. And so that's basically why we're coming to you again, because it's kind of changed. 600,000, now we're up to 2.6. We want to make sure everyone's aware of what we're up to, and that there's no nothing getting past you or no surprises out there or anything like that. We want to keep everybody informed about this great and exciting opportunity that we have now. So I'd like to ask Haley to come up, Haley Varuso from Preble Street, also to kind of talk about their side of the house as well.
Hi there, my name is Haley Varuso, and I support our anti-trafficking program at Preble Street. I had the pleasure of speaking with you all, I believe it was last month, although it felt like a particularly long month. We've had funding through the Howard Buffett Foundation for the last 3.5 years that is focused primarily on identification and service provision to survivors of labor trafficking and severe forms of labor exploitation. The intended purpose of this funding opportunity is to really expand upon what we've learned over the last 3.5 years, which is 3.5 years of a 13-year old program that we have been engaged in anti-trafficking work with survivors of both labor and sex trafficking. And so again, over the last 3.5 years, we've really focused our efforts on understanding how labor trafficking and severe forms of labor exploitation manifest in agricultural settings, seafood processing, and survivors who have been criminalized by the system, meaning their victimization has rendered them in a position where they are potentially incarcerated or in really, really difficult predicaments. And so our hope is that by bringing this expanded funding to our state, that we're not only strengthening the services that we're providing to survivors of trafficking. Arguably the most important part of the work that we do is providing services, providing legal avenues, and providing immigration relief to the folks that we're working with, but also to understand that investigations are really complicated for the people that we work with and can be incredibly burdensome for the survivors that we work with. And so our hope is by partnering with law enforcement agencies that we can better understand pathways to support folks in securing justice in the ways that they've defined for themselves, and find creative strategies to hold the right systems accountable in this process, and not have survivors bear the burden of what that looks like. And so the strengthening of this grant opportunity allows for other pathways outside of, for example, victim testimony in cases related to human trafficking. And so our hope and our goal is partnership amongst 8 organizations to really develop and hone in on the infrastructure to address trafficking throughout the state of Maine, with Cumberland County Sheriff's Office serving as the primary point of contact for law enforcement agencies, knowing that the folks that we work with often move across county lines, whether by choice or otherwise. So I'm happy to answer any questions about the work we've been doing or future hopes and goals for this funding opportunity.
Thank you. Hang tight, we probably will have some questions, I think, or comments. So thank you very much. Are you all set with your presentation?
Yeah, I didn't know if I needed to be here for questions also.
Yes. I'll open up and see if there's anyone from the public who'd like to speak to this matter, and then we'll come back to some questions potentially. Is there anyone from the public who would like to speak regarding this agenda item? Okay, seeing none. Commissioners, let's start with Commissioner Katerina.
Yeah, hopefully I can keep my voice for this. Thank you so much for doing this difficult work. I worked at one point myself, long time ago, in sex abuse trafficking as a social worker. And I can't even begin to imagine what it's like now. And I hadn't even thought until I heard you tonight about the labor trafficking piece of it that's going on. So kudos to you folks for the work you do and for getting us some funding. I think that's fabulous. Thank you.
Very good. Yes, Commissioner Cloutier?
I also want to second what Jean has just said. And I did have this other thought, and I'd be glad to hear what your reaction is to the problem. Sometime in the last 24 months, we all learned how to spell Epstein, and the astonishing thing for so many people as a result of those revelations is the prevalence of trafficking, especially among people in disadvantageous economic circumstances. So the only thing I'm asking is whether you have considered, or if you would consider, trying to find ways to kind of sanitize the personal aspects of what you learn and what you're able to accomplish, but at the same time, put a more public face on the problem itself, its scope, the difficulties that are encountered in trying to address it. That's really what I wonder if you have any comments about.
Yeah, absolutely. So we engage in training across the state of Maine. I think in the last 2 years, we've provided upwards of 70 trainings to over 2,500 individuals. That being said, the best ways that we can engage in anti-trafficking efforts is to fund primary prevention strategies, so ensuring that our community has access to housing, healthcare, food assistance, and so really challenging the current policies that mean that many survivors will be losing access to benefits come May 1st of this year. And so when we think about awareness campaigns are incredibly important part of the work that we're doing. Those really focus on the intervention-based strategy, which again is incredibly important. It's where my work lies, but I would be remiss if I didn't say that the best ways that we can address human trafficking in our state and in our country is to really look more upstream, because human trafficking is a public health issue that only exists when communities are not able to meet their basic needs because of the systems that exist. So to your point, yes, we absolutely engage in trainings across our state to ensure appropriate identification and really focusing on sectors who have the most intersection with survivors of human trafficking. And we need to ensure that our communities are safe and stable. And we do that by making sure their basic needs are met.
You all set? Just a quick comment that I have. First of all, thank you for the work you all do and to public outreach. A friend of mine who works at the Preble Street Food Hub, you had it Lunch and Learn, I believe, maybe a couple months ago or a couple weeks ago, time flies. But they said they learned a lot from that Lunch and Learn that you provided for volunteers there that helped, put that on the awareness in terms of prevention, how to kind of be aware of what's happening in your neighborhood and to be there to begin I guess the first line of support to find others. So thank you for that work that you do. And also, I just want to say, receiving this kind of money is, very rare for us, this amount of money. I thought, wow, $500,000 last month, and, mea culpa. The grant committee wasn't sure about that. Well, I guess we're pretty sure about it now. So I appreciate the extra funding that comes into a program like this. And my last wish would be to have a report at some point in the future. Again, I know we're getting under the ground. This is, important to stabilize and get a foundation, but for us to see all the good work from this money from the Buffett Foundation would you imagine if you came back to the commissioners in 6 months or a year to kind of tell us how things are going so that we feel like we're in touch with what's happening? What's realistic?
We are beholden to funding reporting requirements for this grant, and so the expected start date for this funding would be July 1st, and so would be happy to come from anywhere from 6 months to 12 months after that start date to share a bit about what the foundational efforts have looked like.
Right. I think that would be wonderful, and,
Yeah, that sounds great.
okay, excellent, very good. Thank you for the work you do. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you so much, we appreciate your.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't say,
Can I
yeah.
ask you,
I'm sorry.
is this program in any other county or any other, or at the state level or anything like that?
Yeah, so we're a statewide program, so we provide services in all 16 counties to survivors of labor and sex trafficking. That's right. So Cumberland County will serve as the hub for law enforcement agencies, but our program has always served all 16 counties, and we'll work in tandem with other sheriff's offices in terms of investigations. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
I just want to point to the revised budget that has been posted to the online portal, but we printed copies for you this evening in front of you. The numbers have changed since Friday's budget that was in the packet originally, and I just want to make you aware of that. That will change the motion. We're asking for the commissioners to authorize or accept an additional amount over the $625,000 originally accepted already in March. And I just did the rough math, and so it's accepting $2,057,720.15 in addition to what you've already accepted in March. That varies from there.
Oh, okay, so that was 2.7, you said?
Yeah, it was 2,057,720
057.
and 15 cents.
Okay, so, thank you for that update. So, can I have a commissioner who's willing to make an amendment to this motion,
I move to conform to that.
to that new
recent
amount?
Presentation.
Okay?
Second.
So I have an amendment to the motion to change the additional amount to $2,057,720.15. And that's an amended motion by Commissioner Cloutier and a second by Commissioner Gordon. All those in favor of that amendment to the motion?
Aye.
Show that passage for the amendment. Okay, now the amendment's on. All those approval of the motion?
Aye.
It approves. 4-0, Tyler out of the room. Excellent. Thank you for the updated amount. Thank you all. Thank you for sitting through that last little bit. Okay. Next, we have item 26045, that is to authorize the Cumberland County Board of Assessment Review, BAR, to hear and decide applications for poverty abatement appeals submitted to Cumberland County. Can I have a motion on the floor, please?
So moved.
Second.
Motion, just one? Okay. All right, I didn't get that packet, but motion on the floor is from Katerina and the second is by Cloutier. And Commissioner Gordon, you have a quick?
Well,
something here?
I just wanted to read the motion so that.
Okay.
Recommended motion was, whereas the county commissioners voted on May 10th, 2010 to establish a 7-member board of the appeals to hear all appeals to the county commissioners except for poverty appeals. The Cumberland County Commissioners hereby vote pursuant to 36 MRS Section 841 1A to authorize the Cumberland County Board of Assessment Review, BAR, to hear all appeals of the county commissioners, including the appeals for poverty abatement decisions.
Excellent. Thank you for that. Appreciate it. I want to make sure crystal clear. I really appreciate it. Okay, so that is on the table. Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak to this particular matter? Okay, and seeing none, County Manager, do you have anything to add?
This just provides clarification that from 2010 to 2026, it seems as though some things have gone awry, and we just need to provide clarity and direction for the Board of Assessment Review.
Excellent. Okay,
Move passage.
thank you. The passage by Commissioner Cloutier and a second by Commissioner Kateria. Yes.
I actually have a probably inaccurate comment. If I remember right, in 2010, we had not enacted a county charter at that point, And also, there was a state, either law or regulation, that only allowed for the creation of a county assessment board that did not have jurisdiction over poverty assessments, because a poverty assessment would directly affect a town budget. I think we believe was the reason why that rule existed, and that rule has now disappeared, I'm pretty sure. So,
You're correct, and you seconded the motion on that item.
Now we're, nice
well,
to,
thank God I didn't move it.
excellent. All those in favor? Show that 4-0 for clarification and housekeeping around poverty abatements. Next, we have the last item of the evening. It's 26-046. This is to authorize the county manager to modify the United States Marshals Service Intergovernmental Agreement, IGA, number 36-99-0088, to reflect the exclusion of Immigration and Customs Enforcement detention at the Cumberland County Jail. May I have a motion on the floor?
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion by Commissioner Caterina, a second by Commissioner Cloutier. Now that the motion is on the table, is there anyone from the public who would like to speak to this matter?
I was worried we were gonna start at 8 o'clock. Nice to see it's 6:40. You've heard from me before. My name is Olivia Pennington. I'm a doula in Portland, primarily supporting immigrant women and their children. Immigrant women and their children who are also your constituents. But first, I have some questions for you. Can you put a hand in the air if you've heard of preeclampsia? Preeclampsia is a pregnancy complication characterized by high blood pressure. It can cause seizures, strokes, organ damage, and even death. What do you do when you have a client who is borderline preeclamptic during an ice surge? How do you keep her blood pressure down when every day she is wondering what will happen to her children if she gets kidnapped? What do you do when you have a client who cannot breastfeed their baby because the stress of living through an ice surge is so intense? What do you do when you have a postpartum mom experiencing complications who won't go to the hospital because she is terrified of being kidnapped on her way home? How do you hold a week-old baby and try to soothe her to sleep when you've spent all day seeing videos of your neighbors being violently kidnapped? How do you sing her songs when you know that our government wants to rip her mother away from her? What do? You vote to end this contract. You refuse to be part of the deportation machine. You make it clear that this terror will not be tolerated in Cumberland County. We all know that ICE's activities have been illegal. We've seen our own sheriff speak about the damage done by their work. We're seeing federal judges ruling that what ICE has been doing is illegal. We're seeing Lance Walker, a U.S. district judge who is not a liberal judge, ruling that ICE is illegally kidnapping mothers from their children and housing them in prisons like our county jail. By continuing to hold this contract, not only are we endorsing their behavior, we are fronting the bill for it, to incarcerate our neighbors, our friends, in a jail that is covered in posters encouraging folks to self-deport. I am here again tonight to urge you to vote to end this contract. Send a signal to our neighbors and your constituents that you care about their safety, you care about their families, you care about their children, and you will protect them. And at the very least, you will not pay to have them incarcerated at Cumberland County Jail for the crime of not being white. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to speak to this matter?
Hi, my name is Max Semba. I'm a resident of Portland in the Oakdale neighborhood. As ICE presence has drastically increased this year, the security of our communities in Cumberland County have been corrupted. The cost of detaining our neighbors is being borne by our community both financially, as ICE owes more than $1.2 million to the county, but the cost is also being borne by our population's bodily well-being and health. As I have been out in the community over the past several months, I've overwhelmingly heard that Mainers of every demographic are experiencing deep fear and terror. Across the city, we have been witnessing our neighbors, friends, and peers being abducted and terrorized in front of our eyes. And those who speak out on or bring attention to these actions are similarly faced with aggression and threats to their well-being. Nobody is safe from this deep-seated fear, and overwhelmingly, biophysical and neuropsychological research has proven that such threats to the nervous system result in weakened immune function. We are still reeling from the impacts of COVID-19 on our community and on our bodies. Yet now we are faced with yet another pandemic-level threat to community health. Since the 1980s, scientists have evidenced that susceptibility to infectious disease increases when experiencing stress. It's linked to an increased prevalence of diabetes, Crohn's disease, rheumatoid arthritis, along with other chronic illnesses. Furthermore, collective traumas such as we are seeing today, both in our migrant populations and throughout the general public, have been revealed to cause physiological changes in stress regulation and brain structure, suggesting biological embedding of the trauma across generations. The events of today will create ripples across time, impacting the generations to come and increasing the burden on our healthcare sectors indefinitely. Luckily, scientific researchers champion governmental measures and actions to overcome social disparities as primary examples of direct solutions to this health threat. Your position today will echo throughout history. Cancel the contract.
Hi again. I'm Jennifer Jortberg from Scarborough. I'm here tonight to ask you to please end the contract with ICE and the Cumberland County Jail. The presence of ICE in our communities puts all of us at greater risk of injury or even death, as we've seen, either by diverting resources away from actual public safety or from direct injury or again death by a poorly trained ICE agent, as we've seen again and again. There's an estimated 60,000 people currently detained, and it's thought that about 70% of them had no criminal convictions, had pending asylum cases or visa disputes. 49 people have died in ICE custody since January 2025. Many detention centers, as we've all read and heard, many of them are described as concentration camps with conditions such as inedible food, inadequate medical care, and worse. We are a state that values our immigrant neighbors. We need them if we're to even grow our economy. We are not going to grow without our immigrants. The revenue we collect for detaining our kidnapped neighbors will be short-lived. We couldn't count on it in the past. We won't be able to count on it for long-term in the future because thankfully, this administration that is currently in power at the federal level will eventually be out of power, and their crimes and corruption will be known to all. I don't think Cumberland County Jail and Cumberland County at all will want to be on record as supporting the kidnapping and detaining of our neighbors. So I ask that you please vote to end the contract. Thank you.
Thank you. Is anyone else who would like to speak to this matter?
Christian Binder, Yarmouth, Maine. Yeah, so I have over the past 6 months been volunteering routinely on Saturday mornings at the Florence House and other Preble Street Industries. And I've seen firsthand the negative impacts of ICE with our homeless and our vulnerable communities. And I can't stand here and talk to you without mentioning the names of Renee Good and Alex Preddy. It exemplifies the insanity and the disregard for human life that our current administration has. And Maine is called the vacation land. It's not called Iceland, okay? So I would just urge you to think morally and ethically and put our money towards situations and areas where we can do real good as opposed to funding ICE. our own sheriff stood up to them. So we should follow his lead and leave it up to him and not ICE. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Al Cleveland, and I live in the Riverton neighborhood of Portland. I'm thankful for you all for continuing to put this agenda item on your agenda, and I feel gratitude for your dedication to the commissioners who have been trying to end this contract for your diligence here. My first question I want to ask is, when I read the position paper for this agenda item, it states that this commission talked to third-party consultants about this process. I would love to know who those third-party consultants were, how much did they get paid to give you all advice, how much do you all have to pay other people to do the thing that your constituents have been asking you for almost a year? This should be public knowledge. We should understand how you all got here, so I request that to be discussed when you all get to this agenda item. We are asking you all to cancel the contract. We are asking you over and over again, and I hope tonight you do so. But I want to push you all to consider, as you cancel this contract tonight, which I have full confidence you're going to do, because it is the only decision that could be possibly made, we consider how we have profited off of the deportation machine over decades, but particularly the last few years. How this county made money by detaining immigrants in CCJ. We made money to do that. So we have a responsibility to pay restitution to repair the harm that we cause to everyone who's been detained in CCJ. And I encourage you all to cancel this contract and think about your own roles in repairing the harm you caused to individuals detained, to their families, and to their communities. Because part of canceling this contract now is repairing how long it took. And I encourage you to think about taking money out of the Cumberland County Sheriff's Department and the Cumberland County Jail to do the type of repair that is necessary for the harm that you all in this county has caused. Thank you.
Anyone else who would like to speak to the matter?
I'll be brief. I'm Erin Brennan. I'm a citizen of the city of Portland, a taxpayer. Please end this egregious disregard for the humanity of our people and end this contract tonight.
Hi, Commissioners. I'm back. I've been coming since this summer. My name is Nori Hilton. I live in Portland. Thank you. Been coming to speak to you since this summer about this very same item, and so I'm grateful that it's back on the agenda. I can't lie to you. I'm deeply frustrated that it has taken this long. So grateful that you haven't given up, those of you who feel that this is important. It's frankly ridiculous that it's taken this long, and my ask of you tonight is to put this to bed. It's long overdue. I understand that there were legal questions, but this body should be able to act swiftly when there is an imminent threat to the safety of the folks who live here. So I would just like for you to think about that. Thank you.
Is there anyone else who'd like to speak to this matter this evening?
They died.
Good evening, Commissioners. It's been almost...
Name and address.
Sorry, Todd Cretion, 1917 Washington
Thanks.
Avenue, just
Great.
down the street here.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner Smith, for reminding me. Sometimes life is tough, and you see something coming down the road, and it looks different to different people, but as it gets closer and closer, people of goodwill realize what they're looking at. And I hope that tonight is one of those nights where everybody realizes what we're looking at. Some of us thought we saw something a year ago. Some people thought they saw something else, but I think everybody could agree tonight what we are facing with what ICE and too often Border Patrol are doing is rampant violations of the Constitution, a militia which is not only about repressing immigrants, but is about threatening very democracy itself, and that the Trump administration will stop at nothing to create smoke and mirrors and to make people pay the price. Coming from a point of view of working in the schools, we have not recovered. The truancy is extremely high. Many of our families have lost people to deportation or are still in detention or are afraid to go to work. Kids are afraid to go to school. Families and students' lives have been changed forever what happened in January. And unfortunately, we could have seen it coming. I can understand why some folks didn't see it coming, but now that we have seen it come, I think we have to come to an agreement that it is absolutely inappropriate for Cumberland County to continue any relationship with ICE. And if that means severing this contract, that's the most clear-sighted and level-headed way we can do it. So I thank you for your attention. I'm not the kind of person who thinks that if you didn't get it right the first time, that you have no redemption, that you are somehow an enemy. I think that if people come from different points of view but end up on the same side of goodwill, then we can all work together. So I hope that you do that tonight. Please cancel the contract.
Is there anyone else who'd like to speak this evening? Okay. Seeing none, public comment is now closed.
Move passage.
I have a motion to pass by Commissioner Cloutier and a second from Commissioner Caterina. Okay, the motion on the floor. Comments?
I'll go first, that's fine. I think it's important for everybody here. I assume you all understand how this vote is going to come out. And it has been a long process. And I think it's important for us still to understand what we're able to accomplish and what we cannot accomplish. And frankly, also, and I was glad to hear Todd speaking, because something else that wasn't mentioned yet tonight has been accomplished. And it's not a surprise, given the irresponsibility and the outrageous half-serious approaches to public safety that existed in the ICE operations as well as the Customs and Border Patrol operations, that it's not a surprise to me, and I'm probably not to you, that eventually the entire country understood what Todd was referring to. And that's a very important development. The sheriff helped us a lot because he was kind of outraged at some of the misconduct that he had the personal opportunity to experience, because we have been trying for 3 years to try to hire enough people to adequately and safely operate that jail. And now with fairly minor or routine paperwork mishandling at some level in the last 3 years, 2 of our officers have been detained, and one of them had a hearing. Of course, if you're detained and you don't have paperwork to help you through all this, you can't fly anywhere. So about a week after one of these officers was detained, His hearing was ready to go, he was to appear in person, but he couldn't get on a plane, and the hearing was in Las Vegas. So, needless to say, he ended up with the complications that flow from that. Completely stupid, completely arrogant, completely unprofessional. When the sheriff said that, ICE was in a huff and decided to leave, which broke nobody's heart. A lot of people over the last 9 months have decided that this must be about money. It's not, at least not for anything that we did with our budget and with any plans we made about forthcoming budgets. I will say this, I think it's much more important than the accomplishments that we could achieve now or 6 months ago or 6 months from now in so-called canceling the contract. That we would do that anyway, but it is the change in the public understanding and perception of what the evil is that is being perpetrated on the American citizens and the American citizenry that I think is far more important. And that was the primary reason why it was, I think, wise to not have done this 6 or 8 months ago when the public perception and the public understanding of the situation would not have been what it is today. One of the things that we cannot do is we cannot defund ICE. ICE exists. They have one of the greatest financial budgets for any law enforcement agency in the history of the world. And they will, until they're stopped, they will continue in Maine and in every other state in the country. And they have the jurisdiction to do that. And we have learned through the process that one of the aggravating evils of this whole process was that they attempted to turn the jail, and especially there was a special pod that was being used under our contract with the Department of Justice, not ICE. They were using a pod in a way that was incarcerating high security prisoners, not from Maine for the most part. And Maine people were being shipped out of state. Originally, we thought, well, maybe we should try to keep people in southern Maine so they could have access to the law school, they could have access to some very active legal aid operations. But investigation ultimately showed that that's not what's going to happen. What's going to happen is Maine people who have not committed violent crimes, who are detained because their paperwork isn't completely in order or some other reason which nobody would consider to be a threat to society under any circumstances. Those people were getting shipped to Berlin, New Hampshire. There's a federal prison there. They were being shipped to an operation in southern New Hampshire. And the reason was to save money. They were going to what amounted to a college dorm, except for you can't leave, while public safety related and recognizable public safety problems were being sent to the Cumberland County Jail. It was more expensive to come here for ICE because the security levels that we maintained at the jail were greater than what they actually would need for people that aren't a threat. And there was also a lot of people get shipped to Rhode Island. So we did keep track of all of this. We understood what was going on. Tonight, we are seeking an amendment to the contract that we have with the Department of Justice that says that we will continue to serve the Department of Justice and we will not, however, accept ICE detainees. That's a civil action. It's not a criminal matter for the most part. And we have never agreed to accept Customs and Border Patrol detainees. Some of you already know, I'm sure by now, that the primary activity in Maine for the last 3 years has been Customs and Border Patrol. Up until this last year, they accounted for anywhere between 75 and 90% of all detentions. And so when we all talked about ICE a year ago, what we really were referring to was the very aggressive activities by Customs and Border Patrol, and Maine has a whole perimeter of those officers, and they continue to function today. Unfortunately, their jurisdiction over the years has been extended, and at this point, their jurisdiction, which used to be within, well, it started out within eyesight of the water, or the border, that was determined to be 10 miles. Now it's 100 miles, which includes every square inch of the state of Maine. So what we're doing tonight is simply trying to exclude them from the contract. Somebody asked what happened to this consultant that we hired. That consultant has worked with us for many years, was involved, if I have my information correct, and the manager could correct me if not. This person was, and that consulting operation was involved in the original negotiation of a very detailed contract, which included a lot of things, including who would be allowed to have access to it, and also has some considerable experience in negotiating with the Department of Justice, which is the department that will make the decision concerning how or whether they would continue a contract with the Department of Justice and exclude ICE, and Border Patrol is already excluded. We have no intention of adding them, of course. So I do think that there is got to be the recognition that we have not stopped ICE. We have not stopped the Border Patrol. And the only people that can stop ICE and the Border Patrol are people who sit in the United States House of Representatives and the United States Senate. And they can only do that by reforming the budget and by reforming the archaic immigration laws that we have, which are mostly based on race. And anyone who could see the impact of that at any time in the last 50 years knows that that's true. And in fact, the history of immigration law is that it was usually prompted by discrimination against some race or other, or some ethnicity or other. So I would urge all of you who have suffered, frankly, as we all have, from the pain of watching people being abused in the United States in ways that we would never have thought possible, and has not been possible in the United States for at least 50 years that I know about, at least in the manner that it's occurred. I would urge you all to stay attentive, and it is not out of the question to demand to know of all of the people who are proposing themselves to be your various saviors in the next election, to make an absolute commitment about reforming immigration law to eliminate the discriminatory and inhumane practices that have been allowed, and to try to get that ridiculous budget under control and close the concentration camps that exist. I will again say, though, I think we are now in a position where the entire country understands how stupid and counterproductive this is. We can't change anything by saying you can't come to the jail. There are plenty of jails for them to use. It was a symbolic act, in my opinion, to have said that 6 months ago. Today, we are far advanced from what would basically be an act of defiance, but ineffective to accomplish anything. So I'm delighted that we're now at a point where we can proceed in a way that will emphasize and underline, if anybody notices, the support of Southern Maine, Cumberland County, the people of Cumberland County for a far improved and more humane immigration situation. That's all I have to say.
Commissioner Gordon or Commissioner Cumberland?
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sorry it took so long. We have a system we work through. I have to thank all of you for coming here time after time after time with your repeated messages, because finally it's breaking through, and part of it is to do with what's happened in the wider world also. But I will tell you that personally, having voted to cancel the contract, so many whatever months ago, I'm sorry it took so long, but I'm glad we're here, and I really encourage all of you to keep pushing. Do what you need to do. I know I'm looking at Jennifer, whom I know pretty well, that there, for example, I guess this Saturday there were actions against ICE throughout the country, and I know there's gonna be something at the ICE facility in Scarborough at 3, I think it is. But it's through these acts of pushing back, that eventually we will win. I was a young person back in the 60s in Vietnam, and I got in trouble more than once for doing things at school we weren't supposed to do, like wear black armbands and have signs against the Vietnam War and those sorts of things. I was right at the head of some of that. But that being said, it worked eventually, but it took a while. So this is another one of those pivotal moments in this country where we need to push back, we need to hear from the citizens. And I am thrilled that people have discovered county government and are coming to our meetings. And I encourage you to keep coming and see what we do and help us, expand what we can do for the people of the County of Cumberland. So again, thank you for everything you've done. That's it.
Thank you. Yes, Commissioner Gordon.
Well, I'm going to be a dissenting view, and I wish to express my total respect for my fellow commissioners and the public who have deep feelings about this issue. And I'm in agreement that the actions of ICE are morally wrong and must cease. However, as I understand it, this action being considered now will only prevent the county from being reimbursed for any ICE detainees housed in our jail, not prevent the detention of all ICE prisoners. To date, the legislative action that has influenced a detention change of ICE prisoners is the option of a judicial versus an administrative warrant. Thus, a sheriff will still be required to house the appropriate ICE prisoners. Additionally, our county not only won't be reimbursed, but will also be required to fund those housing costs. We now have placed a record tax imposition upon our communities, partially attributed to the removal of this federal government reimbursement. Do not take into account the unintended consequences of imposing these costs in the form of greater property taxes on the economically challenged citizenry is unjust, and in my mind, totally preventable. The reimbursement of ICE funds are totally dependent and a function of the reception of ICE prisoners by the county jail. No reception, no funding, not the other way around. The only solution, prevent the detention. Thus, presently, we are left with two choices, either accept reimbursement or raise county property taxes. Regardless, due to state mandates, ICE may continue to detain prisoners in our jail.
I guess it's always fun to go last if you're the chair, but not really. But I'll share just a few comments and then we'll take the vote for this evening. First, I just want to say thank you to everyone who came since August of 2025. It was interesting, a lot of people didn't know what the county commissioners did, where they were, where they met. Now everybody knows who we are, which is a blessing. But it was very clear to me early on in August of 2025, we went from 0 public comment, most meetings, during my first year or two as a commissioner, to 50, 75, 100, 250, 30. Seeing the public come out in big numbers was a big signal that we have some work to do. And we need to listen to our constituents and understand where they're coming from, what are they experiencing in their neighborhoods, and for us to not just listen, but respond. It's been frustrating for me too. From August 25th, when we had our very first meeting with some allied groups to fully understand what was happening in our communities, we went from there to a vote in November where there just wasn't enough commissioner support to exclude ICE from our U.S. Marshals contract, but we moved forward. All of you continued to show up, send emails, phone calls. I had coffee with people. I really, really appreciate all the energy that you put into these past 6 to 8 months. It's not easy to get up in front of the podium if you're not used to public speaking. It's not easy to share a family history that is sacred to you. I recognize all these things. I saw you, I heard you. And I'm here to respond tonight to you, hopefully, with a favorable vote. Similar to what Commissioner Katerina said, continue to fight, continue to do what you need to do to make your neighborhood safe. I hope now we can repair some of the damage that maybe some people feel they've lost with law enforcement, whether it's local law enforcement or jail enforcement, that we can repair some of that damage. We need trust in our neighborhoods. We need to look out for one another regardless of our position. Tonight, I hope we can begin to build that trust and look ourselves in the mirror to say, we're all part of this. I have nothing else to say except I'm glad tonight is here, and I feel like we have just one small piece of democracy that we can pull back tonight for ourselves. So thank you for that. All those in favor of the matter on the table? Show of hands.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed?
Aye.
Negative. So it passes 3-1. Commissioner Gordon negative and absent Commissioner Tyler. The motion passes. Next this evening, as we wrap it up, we have comments from various parts of departments. And I think we start with the executive department. Is that correct? I lost my...
Yes.
Yep. Amy, would you have any reports?
We started dispatch negotiations. We had our first session last week. And so that's just the introductory stages. And we also are working on implementing the main paid family medical leave law that goes into effect May 1st. We've had a lot of interest. And I do think it's going to impact several of our departments that are not fully hired. I think it'll have a negative impact, quite frankly, just to be honest. So I'm a little concerned about that for this implementation, but we are implementing it, and we'll see how that goes. We currently have approximately 60 openings Primarily, the openings are at the Cumberland County Jail, and the Sheriff's Office, and facilities are the three large departments, and then there's some one-offs on hiring. We did implement in the correction officer hiring process a new validated reading comprehension test. We had found on the back end of the hiring process, we were losing people at approximately 60% turnover, which was very costly to the budget and costly to time and energy and effort to all the people, particularly the sheriff's office, that were engaged in that hiring process, and the expense was exorbitant in terms of the polygraph and the background. So we just implemented that. So we'll be looking at, how effective that is. I do see, instead of the turnover in the back end, it is screening a number of candidates, and this is a validated reading comprehension test specifically for correction officers. We either have people pass, like probably 60% failure rate at this point, which kind of is typical. So like I said, we've only been doing that for about 2 months, so we'll keep an eye on it and see how that's gonna be. It is gonna impact our hiring to the point that we'll be hiring less people, maybe 2 to 3 a month instead of 8. So there is an impact on that end too. And I think that's all I had.
We'll stay tuned. Sounds
Yeah.
like exciting new news around
Things
the
coming.
horizon. Right.
Yep.
We're gonna go clockwise, so I see the DA here. Would you like to speak? Sorry, sorry, you had a question? Oh, I'm so sorry. You had a question?
I have a point.
Oh,
Jim, getting a program through the coastal county for remedial reading and so forth for these people, isn't that something they can handle?
I have no earthly idea, Steve. I was gonna mention tonight, the executive director is retiring, so
Oh, really?
it's a transition time for sure, and their annual meeting is coming up in May, I think, or.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, late May or early June. I threatened to have you put back on the board again. They didn't seem to think that was a bad idea.
Okay, so, go ahead, DA Torres. Thank you.
Brief. I want to say thank you first for the consent agenda last month, which included our new restorative justice program. We implemented that right away, starting the 1st of April. We are on track to do about 7% of our cases will go, it looks like, to restorative justice. That is around between 400 to 500 a year, which is pretty much on what we thought, but of course, it's just a couple of weeks in. We'll be providing you with an update in 6 months on that, so we'll be back here around September with the numbers. I did promise in that missive that I included in the consent agenda, I think it was 61 pages, that we would be back in 6 months with the numbers, where we stood and how that was going. So far, every single person who's had the offer to do a restorative justice program has taken it. So that good news. The bad news is I'm not really sure what my sample is going to be to compare it to for recidivism if everybody takes the program. So the goal was to have a recidivism sample of people who were offered the program and did not take it. So we'll see. We'll let you know in 6 months. I also want to say thank you for this evening's vote on the consent agenda. We will be able to move forward and hire the sex assault investigator now that we are a certified, well, it's not actually officially certified, but now that we are a law enforcement agency. And that's the last piece that we needed for personnel to really go forward on all cylinders on our federal SACI grant. So only other things that I can think of that are coming up on the horizon, we do have one more big round of moving to go through the HVAC that's happening to give everybody really fresh air, which is exciting. That will take us right up though through the summer. It looks like my concern there is that we are moving into the new e-filing system for criminal cases in September. We have a hard date on that. I believe it's September 28th. We know from the other counties which have, this has been rolled out, that we do expect to see our trial assistants and our staff in general go through a period of tremendous frustration with learning the new program. It will also double our upfront work because we will have to upload the cases to the court's new e-file system and continue to upload them into our system. Of course, you know, there's no additional staff who we proposed, but I can imagine that this is going to be such an impact to staff and potentially, frankly, such an impact to overtime that we're going to have to come back and have that conversation. I'm not happy about it. This gets us nothing. I want to be clear. This does not help us in the slightest. It does help the courts, and I appreciate that. But it is going to be, from everything I've heard from my colleagues in the counties that have already adopted it, it's going to be a tremendous impact to my staff. Those are all county staff, the trial assistants. So that's what we see on the horizon. I can't think of any other big things right now, but I will come back next month and update you then. Any questions? Yes.
I can just assure you the e-filing system is a nightmare.
Well, thank you for that. We're looking forward to
Mr. Good News over here.
Yeah, I mean, e-filing works great for civil matters, you know.
No, it does not.
I did probate work for a while, and I didn't mind it too much. I think the real issue we're having is, of course, we're just doubling the work. Because the way e-filing work is, instead of the court clerks on the court side uploading the information about the case, that all now falls on the district attorney's office. And it is a very substantial increase in time. And as I understand it, the system is also not very responsive to the needs of prosecutors, which is kind of important from my angle. So I'm very concerned about it. My staff, you know, there's nothing we can do except live with it. But I think at least what we've heard now from Chief Justice Stanfill is there is at least recognition that they did not take into account the impact on staff at the district attorney's office. So we're at least hearing some mea culpa there on the issues that are rippling down through all of our offices. I know that DA Megan Maloney in District 4 is talking about an increase in staffing needs as a result of this because it is simply hours of additional work. We get no benefit from this, but I think the state of Maine does, and I respect that.
Thank you.
If there's anything IT can do to assist, to help, just let me know.
Thank you. We did try to build a bridge program between our system and theirs, and that was unsuccessful. Sorry.
Jackie, has anybody thought to go back to the state and say, hey, you've mandated us to do this, you owe us the money?
So I'm, among the DAs, I would say I'm a little bit of the feistiest of them when it comes to saying, why didn't you think this through? I do want to just say, initially, we contracted with the same firm that has built the e-filing system for the state. And they did tell us for 3 years that there was a bridge program. We were going to have new prosecutor software. Our JustWare program is way out of date, as many of you I think know. They were going to build a bridge between our new program through this same company and, again, the same company doing the e-filing system. After 3 years, the prosecutors realized, I had about a year of it when I first came on, that they were not ever going to be able to build the bridge program. And they acknowledged as much, and we all walked away from that project, which again, 3 years, and a grant, it was grant funded, but so regrettably, there's no efficiency there. But the state is not going to start paying for county staff to do the inputting work, I'm afraid. I wish otherwise, Commissioner.
There is, sorry.
Sure, go ahead.
The entire program is structured to attempt to have everything be categorized and available for inspection by a judge, on an iPhone or something. And because of that, for instance, you have to classify what document you're putting on. Well, there are over 100 descriptions of documents so that you could easily miss what you did and when you did it and did it wrong, because there are 5 different kinds of documents, all of which kind of describe what you're doing. You will then blow your deadline and lose by default. So, I mean, it is a horrible system. And unfortunately, it was designed in part by my cousin. So at Tyler Technologies in Texas, and they just, I do the IT for our office, and I've talked to them a number of times. This was supposed to be statewide, fully implemented 60 days after their first experiment. Their first experiment occurred, I think, in 2019, and obviously there was one court that was doing that for a number of years before they spread it around a little bit, and it's terrible on the civil side, and the criminal side actually should be simpler, but I'm sure it's not. So.
Imagine that.
Good
Sorry,
luck.
I didn't mean to throw you that curveball, but
No, it's all right.
we've got until September to mourn the passing of our old system. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Sheriff, we're moving in the clockwise direction. Do you have anything for us this evening?
So there's, the last couple of weeks, the town of Gray has been rattling sabers that, well, they sent us a notification they're gonna cancel their contract. Intel is that probably won't happen, but the contract will probably end in June, and the taxpayers of Gray will vote it down and then have it put on another vote later in the year and probably get it back. They're basically using the fact that the increase in county taxes, they're also adding in the contract, and then they're adding in, on top of that, from what I can see, and I've been watching videos, this kind of snuck up behind us and we didn't even know it was occurring, but they're adding in $3.5 million that was cut for the federal revenue. So they're kind of double counting that. Seems like a little bit of a sleight of hand on the council, so I have had conversations behind with some people that are in the know, and I think it will end because we won't have a contract on July 1st, but it will resurrect itself. So if you hear it out there, that's the case. They met on March 31st, and this was the first thought that we had heard about this. I was on vacation, so I looked at the video and was texting back and forth with some of the counselors. I have not talked to them, but I know Captain Kerry Joyce and Chief Deputy Brian Pellerin did a presentation. They tried to answer some of the questions. I will say they were probably a little more politically correct than I would have been based on what was said, but they tried to explain this whole issue with federal revenue and stuff like that. So more to come on that. Staffing, I do have to agree that the test is value added. We're starting to see some quality people that can read and write. It really takes place of the alert test that was really geared for law enforcement and was about 60 years old. So that was a great move. Law enforcement is moving along pretty good, so we're trying to close the gap there. Our corrections officer that was arrested on January 22nd by ICE, he's in the academy now, doing well. And after his third attempt, not his fault, hopefully he'll be graduating on May 4th. If you remember right, he's the guy that left for a couple days to go to Texas to take care of a hearing. And he missed a lot of things and he violated some policies, so instead of terminating him, we just recycled him. Then he had only gone to, I think, his second or third academy class when he was picked up the second time. So good news on that front. I agree with Amy that family leave concerns are going to be devastating for us. This is opening Pandora's box that I know we have to do, but I'm not sure how we're going to get through it. So in reading the law and what they broke it out, I think we're going to be hurting. I just don't know how badly and what that's going to look like at this point. Lastly, I'll address the elephant in the room. Commissioner Gordon is correct. I will continue to follow the law. And currently the law is if ICE brings somebody to my door, I will take them. Now I want to clarify some things, because I feel like I'm banging my head against a stone wall when I talk to people on one side of the aisle and talk to people on the other side of the aisle. And each side puts a story together that is believable, but is only what they want to hear. First of all, I appreciate the kind words. I'll be honest with you, when I did that press conference on January 23rd, I was aggravated. In fact, I'd use another word, but we're on public. So I tend to call it like it is. And quite frankly, the only reason right now, today, we're not holding ICE inmates is not because of me. It's because they didn't like the feedback I provided them regarding their police tactics. And I stand by that. It was Bush League, and they didn't like it. But I didn't like it either. If any of my staff had done half the stuff that I saw just in that one video, they'd be gone. And I'd fight it tooth and nail. But when they did pull their inmates, we were holding the worst of the worst. And it wasn't a happy accident. That was me working with ICE to say, look, I have no interest in holding administrative ICE inmates. I don't care where you take them. You ain't bringing them to the Cumberland County Jail, because that's one thing I agree with all of you. The thing that both parties look at is this, and they play it to whatever. Yes, technically, everybody coming here who doesn't have a passport or doesn't have the proper paperwork is technically illegal. Folks, driving 26 and a 25 is illegal. Operating 2 days after your birthday without a license is illegal. But it's not criminal. There are criminals out there. And I was elected to do public safety, and I will do public safety. I will lock up criminals, and Commissioner Gordon's correct. The unfortunate thing is we won't get the revenue for it. I've been here a long time, and you folks are not the issue, but the county commission has relied on federal revenue ever since that jail was built back in 1992. You weren't in this spot. But I think you got to realize that much like a substance use person that's affected by substance use, you got to realize that that revenue, you're addicted to it because it helps pay for the jail. That's why I probably would have been a little more vocal and gray. ICE was shipping their people out of state for the administrative because I didn't want them at the Cumberland County Jail, and I still don't want them. In fact, in February, I got a call from Senator Talbot Ross and Mike Cabetti from ACLU, wanted me to look at a bill that they were submitting that basically would say we don't hold any federal people whatsoever. I told her like it is. I'm going to fight you tooth and nail for that, because the revenue, we owe it to the taxpayers, the property taxpayers. Some of these individuals, I can tell you right now, are property taxpayers, so they don't care if you raise the taxes. But there's people that I also represent that feel that taxpayers, they need a break. So she asked, how can we make it right? And myself and another sheriff that is on the opposite side of the aisle worked with them over 3 or 4 weeks, numerous phone calls, including while I was away at a conference, to make sure that this bill went through so that you folks don't have to give up the federal revenue that you've inherited. So LD 2058, once we got through everything, because we were having a hard time trying to carve out administrative arrests, you know, and it always affected somebody, we just, finally I said, you know what, let's call it like it is. We don't want to lock up administrative arrests. I don't lock up people going 26 and a 25. I don't lock up people that forgot to renew their license after 3 days. There's ways of handling that. But I do believe that these individuals that are out there committing crimes, and we've seen it federally, nationally, and I've seen it locally, where people are perpetrating young kids, leaving mentally ill people alone to wander away from their group home, operating consistently while under the influence, and some other things. They belong in jail. One individual who said that there were posters, and I can't tell you if there were posters in the pod or not, saying self-deportation. You know what? Some of the people I've seen, if you want to take a self-deportation, because eventually you're going anyway, we don't need them here. They're committing crimes, they're victimizing the same people that are up here categorizing everything ICE does. Commissioner Cloutier made a good point. We're not going to change ICE. I gave them some feedback, hopefully they took it back and reflected. I doubt it. But I can tell you as I sit here, because I'm involved in some national organizations, there have been meetings, and quite frankly, DHS has been part of those meetings, and they've put out the fact that ICE needs to clean up their act. They're coming into communities that we're responsible for, and they're spinning things up and creating terror, and then they're getting in their cars and heading down the pike, because this is a away game for them. They don't care. They don't care. But my staff have to deal with the fallout for all this stuff. This is a long way of saying that 2058 passed. We're waiting to see, and the national sheriffs, or the main sheriffs, I should say, is looking at 1971, trying to figure out, because, you know what? Some of these laws kind of conflict with each other. But I will stand here today and tell you, and I would have told the group, I will follow the law, because my focus is on public safety. And I won't ruin my credibility on not holding my public safety requirement. So I'll answer any questions. Thank you.
Sheriff, this isn't really a question, but I spent a little time trying to fight my way through the statute that you're aware of. That, as you know, you had a little meeting during COVID with some judges from the Superior Court, if I remember right.
I did.
Where they said, we don't care if you or the county commission thinks that this is unsafe because you don't have any staff, or you don't have adequate volume of staff to accept misdemeanors because somebody in law enforcement decided they didn't like an individual and they wanted them held for whatever reason might exist or not exist. So you already knew that they certainly, on the face of it, read that statute, and then also probably the much more direct and specific regulation from the Department of Corrections, and said, oh, somebody shows up with a badge and a detainee, you have to take them. When I circled back through those documents, it's plain that the regulation is very specific that you do have to, but it's not plain that regulation is actually authorized by the law that exists. So if you get to a point where you are being asked to incarcerate, particularly civil offenses, ICE detainees, I would like to ask you to notify us, and I will ask this commission to consider filing an action in court to clarify whether that is in fact a proper understanding of those legal rules. It's clear to me that, and I'm not a judge, but it does seem quite clear to me that the regulation is exactly as you understand it. But that the law that was supposed to be the source of authority for the regulation doesn't support the regulation in the way that the Department of Corrections has interpreted it. And it may well be that we would have the legal right to say, no, we're not gonna take any civil detainees. And we don't care if the sworn officer shows up with them or not, unless there's unless there's a crime being alleged and enforced, but they are not eligible to come into the jail. If you it's just a footnote to ask you, let us know if any of that's going on, because we may want to do something about it.
So I before I do something, I try to make sure I'm on steady ground. So I hired a constitutional attorney that worked for the sheriff's office to make sure that that statute, the old statute that I don't think was ever repealed, make sure I was on solid ground. And his opinion, now ask any attorney and they're gonna give you their opinion, right? I mean, that's what you guys make money on, right?
Yeah.
But he was really rock solid. I was on firm ground. Now, LD 2058, which passed and went to the governor, really carves out any administrative, civil type thing. So it just allows for the criminal, the worst of the worst. I mean, the reason I was, almost said it, aggravated, was because in February 2024, no, 25, Tom Holman told a bunch of sheriffs in Washington, D.C. that they were going to lock down the border. I can get behind that any day. And they were going to be arresting the worst of the worst. Well, that's my job, get the worst of the worst out. Because I just told you, if somebody's committing crimes and they're not here legally, find a plane and send them home. And if they want to go on their own, more power to them. I was aggravated because I saw for the first time, I mean, I was hearing it in here, but I'm kind of one of these things that just wants to be able to make sure I know what I'm talking about. But I saw with my employee, our employee, an individual that hadn't committed any crimes because he took a polygraph. He was perfect. I mean, the worst thing he ever did, he had an alcoholic drink once. That's pretty good. He was also an individual that got kicked out of the academy, and honestly, some of my staff were going to fire him because he left and didn't tell us. That's a problem, but we can work through that, to go to Texas to do his immigration hearing. And I said, we're not going to fire him for that. I mean, he's trying to do the right thing. So when they picked him up and arrested him and treated him like they did, like he was just a statistic for their arrest counts, yeah, I was aggravated. There's another word I'd use, but it's not good. He was moved around, and not unlike what you would read in the paper. And yeah, he had to post $6,000 bail and stuff. But by policy, we do a internal investigation because he got arrested. And I wanted to find out, okay, what's going on? Well, ICE wouldn't give us anything. They gave us a fingerprint card and a medical card, and that was it. We interviewed him, and the bottom line is, we took a person that was working, contributing to society, out of the workforce, and we locked him up for 6 weeks and probably paid $90 a day. If that isn't crap. So, I get the civil administrative thing, but we got a lot of people, just like we got people that look like me, that do some heinous things, and I'd like to ship them out too, because our society would be a lot better, but we can't. So that's kind of my position, but I think LD 258 kind of adjusts that. But again, we have a Sheriff's Association has some attorneys looking at it to see, okay, what does this all mean? Commissioner, I'm sorry, cut you off.
That's all right. I was going to maybe give you a hand I know that there's one of the mandates that comes out of the Department of Corrections indicates that you have to take anybody that they bring to the jail. So, Jim, that's your entrance into.
I think it definitely says that.
It does.
Yeah.
And you know what? That came about because of, all of a sudden, we've got a lot of sick people coming into the jail, and we've been basically saying, look, you know, that heart attack or that chest pain, take them to the main medical center, because the hospital's there. This is a jail. We don't take people with heart attacks. So, you know, they were kind of pushing back on that because things have changed. And it's easy for DOC to do that because when people arrive at their door, it's scripted, it's, you know, it's planned.
All the hard work's done.
Yeah. Anyway.
So, everybody all set? So thank you for your comments, Sheriff, we really appreciate it. Do ask you just to make sure you keep us in the loop. If ICE agents decide to come to the jail, we'd like to know about it.
Yeah, I mean,
Thank you very much.
they haven't reached out,
Yeah.
and it's fine, I mean.
Thank you. All right, moving around the room. Teresa.
Yes, I think with the budget report, the budget software, the paid family leave that we're putting in with the deductions, all of that. We lend a hand with the Buffett grant that we've just heard about tonight. So the finance touches out and kind of has a part in everything which is keeping us busy. And we did have a new hire today that is replacing an existing position. So we're looking forward to having the new staff and some support in the office. So.
Thank you. Thanks for the work you do. Jim?
A few things, but I'll run down through them very quickly. Just want to recognize the county's Regional Communications Center. We missed an opportunity this year to have a proclamation on the agenda. It was a combination of the week it fell in April and us moving our meeting to the third Monday of the month versus having it typically in the second Monday of the month. And staff just dropped the ball. We should have had it in March. But I want to at least recognize the staff and the fantastic work they do 24/7 there. They always have a great week up there of fun and games in between calls, and it's a light atmosphere that they put on for at least a week for the staff up there, so I appreciate all their help. Also, there was Community Development Week, and which is our CDBG program, and we just want to recognize Courtney and all the great work that she does. Next year, we'll be a little bit more on ball for that, knowing that that could have an issue in April for us. Cross Insurance Arena Board of Trustees will be taking up the operations budget next week, as well as the trustees' budget. That is in anticipation of getting a recommendation from the trustees to the commissioners, and you typically hear it in May or June of a given year. And that is in addition to, this is the operation budget of the arena, which is different from what the Cross Insurance Arena budget is in our budget, in the general fund. We've got some good news on our ADA accessibility and how it applies to our website. Catherine has been doing a fantastic job over the last number of months trying to get our website or have an understanding what's broken on our website as it relates to ADA compliancy. We are been moving towards working with our website vendor for a refresh. We also have to get some software so we can do some analysis on what's still the sticking points as it pertains to ADA compliance. But just this week, or actually maybe over the weekend for that matter, the federal government moved it 1 year so that we have some more time, because I think it kind of caught everyone off guard a little bit on how deep this will go. It goes down into converting PDFs to HTMLs and maps, and so it's been a complete nightmare, and I appreciate Catherine's work on that, trying to wrangle that. Lastly, we have an item that we'll have to reconvene with the commissioners on, and that is that the state legislature in the last week and a half has appropriated $4 million to county governments across the state. A little confusing as they amended their FY26 budget, which is the current year budget, but they want us to spend it in our FY27 budget. I don't know why they didn't, but anyways. So we have this 4 million. We really don't know what portion of that 4 million. Last year, when 4 million was appropriated, we got about $780,000. However, the formula changes based on the number of inmates we have on average in our jail. And it can sway a couple $100,000 depending upon how we stack up against other jails in the previous year for inmate population. So Teresa and I have been doing some preliminary discussion. We feel as though a portion of that should continue our MAT program at the jail. Because the MAT, which was the $4 million the legislature gave us last year, which we received $780,000, that went towards MAT program, but they only funded it for 1 year, so we've lost that money. And the governor did not put it in her supplemental budget. So there's a hole in our budget, in a sense. So this money will be used to kind of backfill into that MAT program. But we feel as though there's an opportunity here to amend the budget. And I hate to say that because the budget's in our rearview mirror. The warrants have been sent out to towns. Towns are lining themselves up for town meeting. But I think it's only fair to the taxpayer that we account for every bit we can. So Teresa and I will be working on trying to pin down a number of that new money coming from the legislature and bringing it forward. Additionally, we're thinking, we have heard that it's about 90 to 120 days, if not longer, to hear back from the marshals in terms of our amendment request for the contract. That might be spilling over into the new fiscal year. And we are looking at what we could book in that new fiscal year. So we may be bringing a slight, small amount of federal revenue in the new fiscal year to offset the budget too. If we're going to amend it, we might as well amend it representing what we feel as though we have in revenue. So that's hopefully down the road. Hopefully we can do it by a quick Zoom, give you a presentation, and not make everyone come in for maybe a 20-minute item. But I think it's something that we should look into, and in fairness to our taxpayers and the communities that all received the warrants, and some of them saw some significant increases. I think it's only fair for us to explore. So with that, that's all I have this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. And just so that everybody has on our calendar, are we looking for this Zoom meeting to talk about this funding in the next week or two, just so that people can clear their calendars if they need to, in terms of, we want to get to the towns, we want to make all these changes, kind of post-hoc, but.
I think probably in the next 2 weeks, we could probably do something.
Okay, so.
We just couldn't connect for any period of time today.
Yeah. Sure. So everybody commissioners, just keep your eyes peeled for this special meeting, so we can take care of this money. Thank you.
Just a comment, Jim. Thursday, the professional council's talking about, with the MDOC's talking about the allocation of that $4 million. Mind if you want to tag onto it, because it's a Zoom meeting.
Wednesday?
Thursday.
May.
Okay, now, commissioners, we have the last, Commissioner Gordon, anything to add for this evening?
No, I think I did everything I could do.
Okay. Well, when you go home and you look in the mirror, then that's the goal, right? Commissioner Katerina?
Yeah, I just want to thank those of you, or I think we're all of you, who helped with the Legislative Policy Committee in our last-ditch efforts to shake some money out of the state. We did get that $4 million. The good news, as far as I'm concerned, is it's woken up the state a little bit, I hope. Of course, it's an election year, so there's gonna be turnover and whatever, so we may be starting from scratch again. But we did work very closely with Maine State Sheriffs, and Maine Municipal even got involved. The county commissioner, or, excuse me, county administrators, I can't even talk anymore. The other, Maine county commissioners were involved, so it was a good effort on the part of everybody. And seriously, the fact that we've had people showing up, even though it was for one item or one, concern, so to speak, I do think it has opened the eyes to people of what does the county do. That flyer that was designed, oh my God, what a big hit that is. I've delivered it to my various little towns and whatnot. And the other counties in the state are very jealous of us and our flyer. And I think you're gonna see some of them coming up with that too. And it did get brought up to Augusta and distributed up there too. So thank you, Jim, for doing that. Brianna.
That was all Brianna.
Yeah, and she's not here tonight, but she did a yeoman's job too with the Legislative Policy Committee, so. Anyway, that's it for me.
I got just about nothing.
Okay. I don't have anything else to add this evening. I want to thank everyone for being here, and we'll see you next month.
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
Second, third.
All those in favor?